My son burst in and froze. I was lying in the garage, hungry, bruised, like a dog in the corner. "Dad, what happened to you? Why are you in the garage? You have a pension of $7,000 a month," he exclaimed in shock. Just then my son-in-law rushed out of the house, proudly declaring, "That pension is mine. I'm taking everything." My son took off his watch, and you won't believe what he did next. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you are listening in the comments. The cold concrete pressed through the thin mattress into my spine. I opened my eyes to dim light filtering through the garage window, dust particles floating in the single shaft of August sun. 68 years old, 40 years as a Philadelphia firefighter, and I was waking up like a dog in my own garage. My left shoulder throbbed where Wesley had shoved me yesterday. Not hard enough to break anything, he was careful about that, but enough to remind me who was in control. I pushed myself up, joints cracking, and wrapped the scratchy blanket around my shoulders. Through the small window that faced the kitchen, I could see them. Wesley, broad-shouldered and comfortable, sat at my dining table eating scrambled eggs from my plates. Gertrude beside him, her blonde hair pulled back, eyes fixed on her coffee mug like it held answers she didn't want to find anywhere else. My daughter, my little girl who used to climb into my lap after nightmares, who'd begged me to read just one more story. She wouldn't look toward the garage, hadn't looked at me directly in days. My stomach growled. I'd had 3 crackers yesterday. The water from the garage utility sink tasted like rust, but it filled the emptiness somewhat. I stood slowly, testing my balance, and shuffled toward the kitchen door. My hand reached for the handle. The door opened before I could knock. Wesley filled the frame, 6'2" to my 5'9". His eyes were flat, uninterested. "I just need coffee," I said. My voice came out hoarse. "Just coffee, Wesley." "Garage residents don't get kitchen privileges." He crossed his arms. "That's the rule. You know the rule." I looked past him to Gertrude. She was staring at her plate now, fork pushing egg around in circles. "Gertrude, sweetheart." She didn't lift her head. "Wesley's right. You should go back, Dad." "Not Daddy. Not Papa. Just Dad," delivered in that flat voice she'd been using for 2 weeks, ever since they'd moved me out here. The formality cut deeper than Wesley's shove had. Wesley's mouth curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Oh, and your pension came through yesterday. Don't worry, I'm handling everything just fine." He closed the door. The lock clicked. I stood there for a moment, hands still raised, before turning back toward the mattress. My fingers clenched into fists, then released. Clenched again. The anger was there, small but bright, like an ember buried in ash. The flip phone sat on the concrete floor beside my pillow. I'd kept it for emergencies after my smartphone disappeared 10 days ago. Wesley said he'd taken it to pay the phone bill. I picked it up with shaking hands and checked the text notification from the bank, the automated system I'd set up months ago, back when I still controlled my own accounts. Withdrawal, $7,000. New balance, 147.23 pulse. $7,000. My entire pension payment, gone. I sat on the mattress and stared at the screen until the numbers blurred. On the wall across from me, my old firefighter uniform hung from a nail. The dark blue fabric, the badge that caught the weak light. The patches from Station 19, where I'd worked my last 15 years. That uniform had seen smoke and flame, had been soaked in water from broken hydrants, had smelled like ash and sweat and courage. Now it watched me sleep on a garage floor. I'd trusted Wesley. That was my first mistake. 3 months ago, when he'd offered to help with my finances, I thought he was being kind, responsible, a good son-in-law helping his retired father-in-law manage the bills. I'd signed the papers without reading them carefully. Gertrude had smiled and called me a good dad. Wesley had shaken my hand. The trap had already closed. I just hadn't felt it yet. Through the window, I watched Wesley laugh at something on the television, my television, in my living room. He'd rearranged the furniture last week, pushed my recliner into a corner, and replaced it with a leather sofa I'd never seen before. Charged to my credit card, probably. Everything was charged to my accounts now. I looked down at the flip phone again. Daniel's number was the only one programmed in. My son living 2 hours away in Harrisburg with his wife and kids. I hadn't spoken to him in 3 months. Wesley had taken my smartphone before I could call him, and this old flip had no credit left. The automated voice had made that clear yesterday when I'd tried. Insufficient credit. Please add funds to make this call. But I had no funds. Wesley had everything. I set the phone down and walked back to the window. My reflection stared back at me from the glass. Thinner than I used to be. Gray stubble on my jaw. Bruises yellowing on my shoulder. An old man. A defeated man. Except something in my chest had shifted. The ember was spreading. I'd spent 40 years walking into burning buildings while other people ran out. I'd carried unconscious victims down smoke-filled stairwells. I'd stood on rooftops while flames licked at my boots and figured out how to get my crew home alive. The Philadelphia Fire Department had given me 17 commendations. The mayor had shaken my hand at my retirement ceremony. And now I was sleeping in a garage, begging for coffee, watching a man steal my life piece by piece. Wesley thought I was broken. He thought he'd won. I touched the badge on my uniform, felt the cool metal under my fingertips. In a fire, sometimes you have to retreat, regroup, find another way in. Sometimes you look trapped, but you're just waiting for the right moment, positioning yourself. I turned from the window and sat back down on the mattress. The flip phone lay beside me, useless. My pension was gone. My home was occupied. My daughter wouldn't meet my eyes. But I wasn't done. I needed to understand exactly how I'd ended up here. When had the trap closed? Where had I missed the warning signs? I closed my eyes and forced myself to remember, step by careful step, how a respected firefighter had become a prisoner in his own garage. The memories came slowly, painfully, but they came. I sat on that mattress for a long time, forcing myself to trace back through the months. My hands gripped the edge of the thin fabric until my knuckles went white. The truth was there, waiting. I just had to stop being afraid of it. 6 months ago, everything had been normal. I'd been living alone since Martha died 4 years back, managing fine. The pension covered everything, mortgage paid off, bills manageable, even some left over for the grandkids' birthday gifts. Then Gertrude called. She and Wesley had lost their apartment. Something about unpaid rent, a dispute with the landlord. Could they stay with me? Just temporarily, just until they got back on their feet. I'd said yes immediately. She was my daughter. What else would I do? They'd moved in with 2 suitcases and a lot of promises. Wesley would find work soon. Gertrude was applying for office jobs. They'd be out in 2 months, 3 at most. I'd set them up in the guest room and spare bedroom, told them to make themselves comfortable. Wesley had started talking about finances within a week. The memory came into focus now, sharp as broken glass. 3 months ago, June. We'd been sitting at the kitchen table after dinner. Gertrude was washing dishes, humming something. Wesley had a folder of papers printed from the computer I'd let him use. "Ambrose," he'd said, friendly, helpful. "I've been thinking, you're managing a lot here. Bills, insurance, the pension payments. What if I helped? Took some of that burden off your shoulders?" I'd been tired. I'd spent the afternoon pulling weeds in the heat. "I appreciate it, Wesley, but I've got it under control." "I know you do." He'd opened the folder. "But what if something happens? What if you get sick or forget a payment? With power of attorney, I can handle everything. You just relax, enjoy retirement." I'd frowned at the papers. Legal language, dense paragraphs. "Power of attorney? That sounds serious." "It's standard. Limited power of attorney, just for banking convenience." He'd clicked a pen, positioned it on the first signature line. "You keep control of everything important." Gertrude had come over then, set a cup of coffee beside me, kissed my cheek. "Dad, Wesley's good with finances. It'll be easier for everyone." "You're sure this is standard? For family helping family?" "Absolutely," Wesley had smiled. "My uncle did the same thing with my grandfather. Made everything smoother." I'd signed. 3 pages, 6 signature lines, initials in 4 places. Wesley had pointed to each spot, and I had signed without reading the fine print. Why would I need to? He was family. The trap was set. For a while, nothing changed. Bills got paid. My pension arrived like always. Wesley said he'd moved everything to a joint account for easier management, but I had access. If I needed cash, I could ask. No problem. 6 weeks passed before I noticed. The memories shifted forward. Late July. I'd been opening mail at the kitchen table, mostly junk, some catalogs. Then the bank statement. I'd opened it out of habit and stared at the balance. $347. That couldn't be right. My pension was $7,000 a month. Even with bills, there should have been thousands left. I'd called the bank. The woman on the phone had been polite, patient. Yes, Mr. Russell, your pension is being directly deposited. No, not to this account anymore. It's auto-transferring to a different account, the joint account ending in 4792. Set up 2 months ago. I'd found Wesley in the living room watching television. Wesley, I need to talk to you about the bank accounts. He'd barely looked up. What about them? My pension. It's going to some other account. The woman at the bank said joint account. Oh, that's the one I set up. More efficient. He'd reached for the remote. Changed the channel. Don't worry about it. But I need access to... You have access. I'll give you cash as needed. He'd glanced at me then, and something in his eyes had been different, harder. It's better this way, Ambrose. Trust me. The alarm bells had started then. Quiet at first, but there. I'd started watching more carefully after that. Noticed the new laptop that appeared in the spare bedroom. The expensive dinners Wesley brought home. Steaks, wine, food I couldn't afford. The leather jacket Gertrude wore, tags still attached. $300 visible on the sleeve. When the credit card statement arrived, forwarded from the joint account, I'd seen it all. Electronics, restaurants, clothing, furniture. Thousands of dollars. My thousands. 1 month ago, I'd confronted him. The memory burned now, made my hands shake, even sitting in the garage. I'd waited until Gertrude was at the grocery store. Wesley had been in my recliner, feet up, drinking my beer. Wesley, where's my pension? I'd been holding the bank statements, 6 of them highlighted in yellow. The account is empty. Where's my money? He'd set down the beer slowly. Our money? You signed it over. I'm managing it properly. Managing it? You're stealing it. My voice had risen. I never agreed to this. I signed papers for convenience, not for you to... He'd stood up, fast. Suddenly he was close, using his size, his height. I'd stepped back instinctively. You signed the papers, he'd said, voice cold. It's legal. Power of attorney means I control the accounts. And if you make trouble, Ambrose, I'll have you declared incompetent. You're old, you're forgetful. You're clearly not capable of managing your own affairs. Nursing home. Think about it. The shove had come then. Not a punch. That would leave marks people would ask about. Just his palm against my chest, hard enough to send me stumbling backward into the wall. My shoulder had hit first, the same shoulder that throbbed now. Gertrude had come home 10 minutes later. She'd seen me holding my shoulder, seen Wesley sitting calmly with his beer. She'd looked at me, looked at Wesley, and said nothing. That's when I'd known. She was complicit. Not forced, not deceived. Complicit. 2 weeks ago, they'd stopped pretending. Wesley had called me into the dining room like I was an employee. Gertrude had been there, silent, hands folded. New arrangement, Wesley had said. You're using too much space in the house. The garage has everything you need. Mattress, sink, toilet. You stay out here unless you have permission to enter. I'd started to protest. He'd cut me off. Your choice, Ambrose. Garage, or I call social services and have you evaluated for senile dementia. Your call. I'd moved my mattress that night, carried it through the kitchen while they watched television. Now, sitting in the August heat with the flip phone dead in my hand, the full picture was clear. Every piece, every step of the trap. For weeks I'd been thinking like a victim. Trapped, helpless, afraid. But victims don't survive burning buildings. Firefighters do. And firefighters don't panic. They plan. They find the exits. They know the structure's weaknesses. They wait for the right moment. I stood and walked to my uniform, touched the badge again. Remembered, in a fire, sometimes you have to retreat to advance. Sometimes you look beaten, but you're positioning yourself for the next move. Wesley thought he'd won, thought I was broken. He was wrong. I looked at my reflection in the garage window. Older, thinner, bruised. But my eyes were different now, harder, clearer. I couldn't call Daniel, not yet. Not without a real phone. But Wesley had given me something valuable. Time. 2 weeks in this garage, watching them through that window. I'd learned their patterns, their routines. When Wesley left for his afternoon walks, when Gertrude took her long baths, where they kept the spare keys, how the house sounded when they slept. I'd learned something else too. I wasn't done fighting, not even close. The next day, something changed, something Wesley didn't expect. Friday evening, the garage had that particular quality of silence. Not peaceful, just empty. I sat on the old wooden chair I'd dragged from the corner, watching shadows lengthen through the window. My posture was different now, straighter. The bruise under my left eye had turned yellowish purple, 2 days old from Wesley's accidental elbow. But something inside me had shifted since yesterday's memories. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was waiting. Then I heard it, the specific rumble of Daniel's Honda Accord, the one with the slightly loose exhaust he kept meaning to fix. My heart seized in my chest. Hope and dread collided like chemical reactions. Not now, not like this. He couldn't see me like this. But the engine cut off, car door slammed. Footsteps on the driveway. Through the small window, I watched the house. Couldn't see the front entrance from here, but I heard the door open. Heard Daniel's voice, warm and unsuspecting. "Hey, anyone home? Where's Dad?" A pause. Then Gertrude, too quickly voice pitched wrong. "Daniel, we didn't know you were coming. He's in the garage, working on something." Wesley's voice drifted out, casual but territorial. "Daniel, long time." I stood slowly, hands shaking. Part of me wanted to call out, warn him somehow. Another part wanted to hide, preserve the illusion that everything was fine, protect my son from the truth. But my legs wouldn't move either direction. "Where's the garage?" Daniel asked. He knew where it was. He'd grown up in this house. The question was a challenge. Footsteps approached. The garage door swung open. Light from the house flooded in, and Daniel's silhouette filled the doorway. Taller than I remembered, broader. His face emerged from the backlight, and I watched the emotions cycle across his features. Confusion, horror, shock. His eyes found mine, then tracked down to the bruise, the mattress on the concrete, the single thin blanket. "Dad?" His voice cracked slightly. "Dad, what happened to your face?" I couldn't speak, couldn't form words. Just stood there like a specimen under examination. He crossed the space in 3 strides, gripped my shoulder. "You're living in the garage. Why are you living in the garage? You have a pension, $7,000 every month." "Daniel," my throat was dry. "You shouldn't have come." $7,000, Dad? Where is it?" "It's complicated, son." Wesley appeared in the doorway then, chest puffed, filling the frame with his bulk. That smug expression I'd come to know so well. "Not complicated at all," Wesley said. "That pension belongs to me now. I control everything. Your father signed the papers." Daniel turned slowly, stood to his full height. "Excuse me?" "Power of attorney, all legal." Wesley stepped into the garage like he owned it, which, in his mind, he did. He signed it over. "The money's mine, the house is mine. Well, it will be. And this?" He gestured at the mattress, at me. "This is where he lives now. House rules." From the doorway, Gertrude's voice came weakly. "Wesley, maybe we should—" "Shut up, Gertrude." Wesley didn't even look at her. "Your brother needs to understand how things work here." Daniel's jaw tightened. His hand moved to his wrist, to the watch there. An Omega, stainless steel catching the light. I'd seen it before, Christmas 2 years ago. He'd been proud of it. Company gift for hitting targets 3 years running. He unclasped it. The click was loud in the silence. Waited in his palm for a moment, then set it down on the dusty workbench with deliberate precision. "This watch is an Omega," Daniel said, each word measured and cold. "Company gave it to me for hitting targets 3 years running, worth about $8,000. He looked at Wesley. "Take it." Wesley blinked. "What?" "Take the watch, take it, and walk out of this house right now, before I make a phone call you won't like." The watch sat between them on the workbench. $8,000 in stainless steel and craftsmanship, sitting on sawdust and old oil stains. Wesley stared at it, then at Daniel, then at the watch again. His face went through calculations. Greed, suspicion, anger. Behind him, Gertrude had gone pale, one hand pressed to the doorframe for balance. "Take it," Daniel repeated. "Last chance." Wesley's mouth curved into that smile again, the one that said he'd already won. He reached down, lifted the watch, turned it over in his thick hands. "Nice watch," he said, setting it back down. "But why would I take 8,000 when I've got 7,000 coming in every month? For free?" Daniel's voice stayed level. That pension isn't yours. It is now. Power of attorney, kid. All legal. Wesley crossed his arms, confident. You want to call the cops? Go ahead. They'll tell you the same thing. Your old man signed it over. His choice. Daniel's hand slid into his pocket, pulled out his smartphone. Wesley's smile widened. Be my guest, Wesley said. They won't do anything. I've got the paperwork. The pension gets deposited into my account. This house? Once I get him declared incompetent, it'll be mine too. And he lives in the garage because those are the rules now. My rules. I watched Daniel's face. Watched something shift behind his eyes. He held the phone casually, angled away from Wesley. His thumb moved across the screen, but he didn't raise it to his ear. You're forcing him to live out here, Daniel said quietly. Not a question, a prompt. Forcing? Wesley laughed. He's free to leave any time. Find himself a nice nursing home. State-run facility for incompetent seniors. That's his other option. And you're spending his pension. My pension now, legally transferred. Like I said, paperwork's all in order. Gertrude made a sound from the doorway, almost a whimper. Wesley, maybe we should just... Daniel didn't look at her. His voice went cold. Don't. Not one word, Gertrude. Danny, you don't understand. We needed... I'll talk to you later. Daniel's eyes never left Wesley. Right now, I'm getting Dad out of here. Wesley stepped forward. He's not going anywhere. This is his home. Daniel moved to my side, put a gentle hand on my shoulder. Dad, get up. We're leaving. I stood. My legs felt weak, but Daniel's grip steadied me. Wesley blocked the door. You can't just... Move! Daniel's voice carried something I'd never heard before. Not anger. Something colder than that. Authority. Wesley hesitated. For the first time since this started, I saw doubt flicker across his face. Then he stepped aside. Daniel guided me past him, past Gertrude, who pressed herself against the wall, through the house that used to be mine. I didn't look at the furniture, the rearranged rooms, the life they'd built with my money. Just kept walking. Daniel's hand steady on my shoulder until we reached his car. He opened the passenger door, helped me in like I was fragile. Maybe I was. We pulled out of the driveway. I watched the house recede in the side mirror. Wesley stood in the doorway, arms crossed, still wearing that confident smile. He had no idea what Daniel had just done. The car felt like a different world, clean, warm, safe. I sat in the passenger seat, hands folded in my lap, watching Philadelphia suburbs slide past the window. Evening lights coming on, people in their houses living normal lives. You shouldn't have seen that, I said finally. Daniel's hands gripped the steering wheel. His jaw was tight. How long, Dad? How long has this been happening? 3 months since the papers. 2 weeks in the garage. The bruise? I touched my eye without thinking. 2 days ago. He gets angry when I ask questions about the money. The muscles in Daniel's jaw worked. He said nothing else until we pulled into a Holiday Inn Express parking lot. Got out, came around, opened my door like I might break if handled roughly. We walked to the lobby together. He paid with a corporate credit card, told the desk clerk, visiting family. Got 2 key cards. The elevator ride was silent. The hallway was silent. He unlocked room 214, held the door. 2 beds, clean white linens, television, bathroom with actual hot water. I stood in the middle of the room and felt something crack inside my chest. Sit down, Dad. Daniel pulled out the desk chair. I'm ordering dinner. He called room service. Ordered more food than 2 people could eat. Steak, baked potato, green beans, salad, bread, soup. When I started to protest the cost, he just shook his head. The food arrived 20 minutes later. Daniel set it out on the desk, handed me a fork and knife. I looked at the steak. Thick, properly cooked, steam rising, and my hands started shaking. When did you last eat? Daniel asked quietly. Yesterday. 3 crackers. He watched me cut the first piece, watched me chew slowly, carefully, like someone who'd forgotten what full felt like. Didn't say anything, just watched, with an expression that made my chest hurt worse than hunger ever had. I ate half the steak before I had to stop. My stomach had shrunk. Daniel wrapped the rest, put it in the mini fridge for later. Then he pulled out a legal pad from his laptop bag, clicked a pen, sat across from me with the methodical air of someone starting a project debrief. Tell me everything, he said, from the beginning. When did Wesley first suggest the power of attorney? So I told him. May, early May, Wesley's friendly offer. The papers at the kitchen table. Gertrude's encouraging smile. My signature on documents I barely read. Daniel took notes, asked specific questions. Dates, amounts, exact wording of conversations. He approached it like a logistics problem. Gather data, identify patterns, find vulnerabilities. The exact wording, he said. Did Wesley say limited power of attorney? Yes, limited to banking. He said I'd keep control of everything else. But he redirected the pension? All of it. $7,500 a month for 3 months. $22,500. Daniel wrote the number down, circled it. Has he threatened you? Besides the physical nursing home. Says he'll have me declared senile, incompetent. Says I'll die in a state facility. The pen stopped moving. Daniel looked up. Something dangerous flickered behind his eyes, then disappeared back into professional calm. This is elder financial abuse, he said. Pennsylvania has specific laws, and a legal eviction. You own that house, right? Paid off 15 years ago. Deeds in my name. Then he committed a crime. Multiple crimes. I shook my head. He has the legal papers, Daniel. He said, papers obtained under duress aren't valid, and financial exploitation of an elderly person is a felony in Pennsylvania. Daniel flipped to a new page. We need a lawyer, specialized in elder law. I can't afford? I can. He met my eyes. Dad, this is what I do. Solve complex logistics problems. This is just another system to analyze. And Wesley made a mistake tonight. What mistake? His mouth curved slightly, not quite a smile. He confessed. Everything. On recording. I stared at him. You recorded him? He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen. Wesley's voice filled the room. That pension belongs to me now. I control everything. Your father signed the papers. The pension gets deposited into my account. This house, once I get him declared incompetent, it'll be mine too. And he lives in the garage because those are the rules now. My rules? Daniel stopped the playback. Pennsylvania is a one-party consent state, completely legal to record conversations you're part of. He confessed to financial control, illegal eviction, physical intimidation. That recording is evidence. For the first time in months, I felt something like hope. We talked until midnight. Daniel made more notes, built timelines, outlined steps, legal consultation, documentation, medical records for the bruises, financial records for the theft, revoke the power of attorney, file charges, protective orders. He broke it down like a project plan. Objectives, resources, timeline, obstacles. Watching him work, I saw the successful man he'd become. Systematic, thorough, unshakable. Finally, exhausted, we both lay down in our separate beds. The room went dark. I heard Daniel breathing in the other bed, awake like I was. Thank you, I said into the darkness. We're going to fix this, Dad. All of it. I believed him. Morning came too soon. Daniel's alarm went off at 6. He showered, packed, checked us out by 7. We stood in the parking lot beside his car, neither quite ready to say goodbye. I have to go back to Boston, he said. Work. But I'll be back Friday. 1 week. I nodded. And I go back to the garage. His face twisted. Dad, you can stay here. I'll pay for the room all week. You don't have to... No. I put a hand on his arm. I go back. If I disappear, Wesley might do something unpredictable. Destroy evidence. Run. But if I'm there in the garage, he'll think he won. He'll think you gave up. You're sure? 40 years in fires taught me something. Sometimes you have to go back into the smoke to get what you need. I'll be okay for 1 week, and I'll be watching him, learning his patterns. Daniel pulled something from his pocket. A phone. Small. Basic. Burner phone. My number's programmed in. If anything happens, anything, you call me. I took it. Where do I hide it? Somewhere he won't think to look. I thought of my firefighter jacket. The inside lining had a small tear. Perfect. Daniel hugged me, held on longer than necessary. 1 week, Dad, I promise. I know. I watched him drive away, stood in that parking lot until his car disappeared around the corner. Then I walked back toward the house, toward the garage. My steps were steady. Wesley and Gertrude were watching from the living room window when I arrived. I saw the curtain move, saw Wesley's face, that satisfied smirk back in place. He thought I'd tried to escape and failed. thought Daniel had abandoned me. He was wrong about both. I walked into the garage, lay down on the mattress, stared at the ceiling, slid my hand into my pocket and felt the burner phone there. Small, solid, real. 1 week, I could survive 1 week. I'd survived worse. And this time, I wasn't surviving alone. Daniel texted when he got back to Boston. Made it. Starting lawyer research tomorrow. Hang tight. Sunday, another text. Found 3 elder law specialists. Calling Monday. Daily check-ins after that. Short messages, but each one a lifeline. Wesley noticed I was calmer. It bothered him. Monday, he searched the garage while I was using the house bathroom, a privilege granted 10 minutes a day. I watched from the window afterward as he pawed through my few belongings, looking for money, for a phone, for whatever Daniel might have left. He found nothing. The burner was inside my firefighter jacket's lining. 40 years of emergency preparedness pays off. You learn to hide things where no one thinks to look. By Wednesday, Wesley was suspicious, kept watching me through the kitchen window, trying to understand why I wasn't begging anymore, why I wasn't pleading. By Thursday, he was paranoid. Friday, the day Daniel was supposed to return, couldn't come fast enough. Monday morning, I woke before dawn. Old firefighter habit. Internal alarm clock never quite shuts off. The garage was dark and cold. I reached into my jacket lining where the phone sat hidden. My hands didn't shake anymore. I had work to do. Daniel had called Sunday night from Boston. Brief, careful. Dad, document everything. Photos, dates, amounts. The lawyer needs evidence. So that's what I did. I photographed the mattress first, then the concrete floor, the lack of insulation, the single blanket that did nothing against the chill, the utility sink with rust stains, the view from my window toward the house where Wesley and Gertrude lived their comfortable life on my money. In a dusty corner, I found an old contractor's notebook, spiral-bound, half the pages still blank. I started writing. May 8th, Wesley suggested power of attorney, said just for convenience. May 10th, signed papers at kitchen table, Gertrude present, reassuring. June 15th, discovered pension redirected to joint account, $7,500 missing. The dates came easier than I expected. Firefighter training again. We logged everything, every call, every incident. Turned out financial abuse had the same structure as any other emergency. Timeline, evidence, witnesses. Through the garage window, I watched Tuesday unfold. A delivery truck pulled up around noon. 2 men wrestled a massive box toward the front door. 70-inch television, the logo visible even from my vantage point. Wesley directed them like a homeowner. Proprietary gestures, satisfied smile. I photographed it through the window. Wasn't perfect quality, but good enough. Timestamp, clear image. Later that afternoon, the SUV appeared. Brand new Ford Explorer, gleaming black, temporary dealer tags visible. Wesley and Gertrude walked around it, admiring. He'd bought it without selling the old sedan. Just added a second vehicle to the fleet. My fleet. My pension money. $28,000 of my retirement, and counting. I took more photos. The SUV from multiple angles. Wesley loading grocery bags from the trunk. Expensive whiskey bottles visible. Premium labels I recognized from my own better days. Tuesday night, Daniel called. The lawyer's name is Sandra Mitchell. Specializes in elder law. We're meeting Wednesday at 3. Coffee shop on Broad Street. That little independent place near the library. Can you get there? I'll tell Wesley I'm taking a walk. Be careful, Dad. Wednesday morning, Wesley was watching me. I felt his eyes through the kitchen window as I sat on the garage chair, pretending to read an old magazine I'd found. Around 2, I stood, stretched, made a show of needing movement. Going for a walk, I called toward the house. Get some air. No response. Just that feeling of being watched. I walked 6 blocks to the coffee shop. The world outside my garage felt strange. Normal people doing normal things, buying coffee, laughing at phones, living lives that didn't include sleeping on concrete floors. Daniel was already there, corner booth. The woman beside him was mid-50s, professional gray suit, leather briefcase on the table. She stood when I approached, extended her hand. Mr. Russell, I'm Sandra Mitchell. Daniel's told me about your situation. Before we begin, I need to hear it directly from you. Everything that's happened. I sat, took a breath. Where do I start? Start with the power of attorney. When did Wesley first mention it? So I told her. The whole timeline. The friendly offer that became a trap. The papers I signed without reading carefully enough. The gradual theft of my pension, my autonomy, my home. The physical intimidation. The garage. Sandra took notes, quick shorthand, occasionally stopping me to clarify dates or amounts. She had the focused intensity of someone who'd seen these cases before and knew exactly what mattered. When I finished, she pulled out a tablet, connected headphones, pressed play. Wesley's voice filled the tiny space between us. That pension belongs to me now. I control everything. Your father signed the papers. The pension gets deposited into my account. This house? Once I get him declared incompetent, it'll be mine too. She stopped playback, removed the headphones, looked at me directly. Mr. Russell, Pennsylvania law is very clear on this. Financial exploitation of a person over 60 is a felony. If you can prove the power of attorney was obtained through coercion, and that recording certainly suggests it was, the document is voidable. But Wesley says it's legal. He says the police won't help. He's wrong. She pulled papers from her briefcase. What he's done is elder financial abuse. Pennsylvania takes it seriously. Additionally, evicting you from your own home, that's illegal detention and property theft. She paused. So we can stop him, but more importantly, we can charge him. Criminally. The word hung in the air. Criminally. Daniel leaned forward. Tell her about your documentation, Dad. I showed her the notebook, the timeline, the amounts, the specific dates and incidents. Sandra studied each page, nodding. This is excellent. Detailed. Specific. This will be powerful in court. She looked up. You were a firefighter? 40 years. Philadelphia Fire Department. That training is saving you now. She scrolled through the photos on the burner phone Daniel had shown her. These images, your living conditions, clear evidence. Combined with the recording, she set down the phone. Mr. Russell, we have a strong case, but we need one more thing. What? Medical documentation. The bruises, the weight loss. We need a doctor to examine and document them officially. Can you do that? When? Tomorrow, if possible. The fresher the documentation, the better. We talked for another hour. Sandra outlined the legal process. Revoke the power of attorney, file for protective orders, pursue criminal charges, recover the stolen pension. Each step precise, methodical, achievable. I'd spent 3 months feeling helpless. 40 minutes with Sandra Mitchell, and I had a plan. When we left, Daniel walked me partway back, stopped at the corner 2 blocks from the house. You okay, Dad? I'm okay. He hugged me. 1 more week, maybe less. I walked the last 2 blocks alone. Something felt wrong before I even turned onto my street. Wesley's SUV was parked crooked in the driveway, like he'd been in a hurry. The garage door was slightly open. I always closed it completely. My hand went to my jacket pocket, touched the outline of the burner phone. Still there. But something had changed. I could feel it. I pushed open the garage door. Wesley sat on my workbench, legs dangling, holding something in his hand. As my eyes adjusted to the dim light, I saw what it was. Pieces of a phone. A phone just like the one in my pocket. My hand flew to my jacket. The pocket was empty. The lining torn open. He'd found it. My mattress was overturned. The firefighter jacket lay crumpled on the concrete, its interior lining ripped. My few belongings scattered across the floor. He'd torn the place apart. Wesley held up the shattered phone, screen dangling in fragments. His smile was triumphant. What's this, Ambrose? Where'd you get a phone? I made my voice small, submissive. Daniel gave it to me, just to call him sometimes. Daniel gave it to you. Daniel who took you away last week. Daniel who thinks he can interfere. He slid off the workbench, used his height to tower over me. Who have you been talking to? Just Daniel, I swear, just my son. Liar! He stepped closer. You've been leaving the garage every day. Where do you go? Walks, just walks, to get air. He threw the phone pieces at my feet, plastic and glass scattered across concrete. You think I'm stupid? You think I don't notice things? My heart hammered, but my mind stayed clear. The phone was a decoy. The real evidence was already with Sandra. The photos were sent Tuesday. The timeline was in Daniel's email Monday night. This phone? Let him think he found the threat. You want to know something funny, old man? Wesley's voice dropped lower. More dangerous. That power of attorney you signed? It's not just financial. It's medical, too. I can make healthcare decisions for you. Ice spread through my chest. Medical? That's right. So if I decide you're not competent, if I decide you need to be in a nursing home, locked ward for dementia patients, I can do that. One phone call. From the doorway, Gertrude's voice came quietly. Wesley, shut up, Gertrude. He didn't turn. Your father needs to understand his position. I looked at my daughter, met her eyes. Silent plea. Stop him. Help me. You're my daughter. She looked away. That was when I knew. Completely. She'd chosen Wesley over me. Not passively. Actively. Please, I let my voice shake. Not all acting. The medical threat was real. Terrifying. I'm sorry. I won't cause trouble. You're right. You won't. Wesley picked up my jacket, examined the torn lining. No more phones, no more walks without permission, and no more dinner tonight. You need to learn. He walked out. Gertrude followed without looking back. I stood in the wreckage of my searched garage, surrounded by broken phone pieces and scattered belongings. Slowly, I righted the mattress. Picked up my jacket. The lining was destroyed, but the jacket itself was intact. Evening came. My stomach cramped with hunger. Wesley had made good on his threat. No dinner. But I'd eaten at the coffee shop with Daniel and Sandra. I'd survive. Around 7, I walked to the neighbor's house. The Johnsons, 50 feet away. I'd known Martha and Frank for 15 years since I moved in after my wife died. Nice couple, kept to themselves mostly. But they'd noticed things. I'd seen Martha watching from her window sometimes when Wesley treated me badly. I knocked quietly. Martha Johnson opened the door. Her expression shifted instantly from surprise to concern. Ambrose, are you all right? Martha, I'm sorry to bother you. I need to ask a favor. Come in, come in. Frank, Ambrose is here. Frank emerged from the living room, took one look at me, and his face hardened. My word. Ambrose, what's happened to you? In their warm kitchen, with coffee Martha insisted on making, I explained. Not everything. Didn't mention the lawyer yet. But enough. Wesley had taken my phone. I needed to communicate with my son. Family matters being handled. Martha and Frank exchanged a long look. Years of marriage, reading each other without words. Ambrose, Martha said carefully. We've been worried. We see things. How you live in that garage. It's being handled, I said. I have help. I just need a way to communicate. Frank stood decisive. Use our phone anytime, day or night. We mean it. How long has this been going on? Martha asked. Months, but it's ending soon. She reached across the table, put her hand over mine. We should have said something sooner. We should have done something. You're doing it now. That's what matters. Frank gave me their phone number written on a piece of paper. Told me the back door was always unlocked if I needed to come over when they were out. They had a spare key under the mat. Actually told me where it was. I walked back to my garage, feeling less alone than I had in months. That night, from the Johnsons' house, I called Daniel. Told him about the phone Wesley found. He laughed. Actually laughed. Dad, that phone was backup. Everything's already with Sandra. He found nothing important. He has medical power of attorney. He threatened nursing home. Daniel's voice went cold. Forward that to Sandra. She needs to know. But Dad, it doesn't matter. We're moving Friday. Medical exam Thursday, then paperwork Friday. You hold on until then. Thursday morning, Wesley cut my food again. Breakfast was 2 crackers. Dinner would be the same if I got dinner at all. The shower schedule changed too. Once per week now, Sundays only. He was tightening the cage, trying to break whatever spirit he sensed hadn't broken yet. But I had an appointment that day. Sandra had arranged it. Medical examination at a clinic downtown. Documentation of the bruises, the weight loss, the effects of Wesley's abuse. Not just for court, for the criminal charges Sandra said were coming. I told Wesley I was going for a walk. He watched me leave with suspicious eyes, but said nothing. At the clinic, Dr. Sarah Chen examined me thoroughly. Asked questions I answered honestly. Photographed the yellowing bruise under my eye. Weighed me. I'd lost 23 pounds in 3 months. Documented muscle loss, signs of malnutrition, stress indicators. Mr. Russell, she said quietly, filling out forms, I'm required to report this. What's being done to you is abuse. It's being reported, I told her. By a lawyer. Criminal charges are coming. She handed me copies of everything. Good. You deserve better than this. Walking back, I stopped at the Johnsons' house. Martha made me lunch. Real lunch, sandwich and soup and fruit. Frank sat with me while I ate, talking about nothing important, giving me the gift of normal conversation. That night, lying on my thin mattress with hunger cramping my stomach despite lunch, I thought about time. How it moves differently when you're waiting for rescue. How days feel like weeks, but I'd survived worse. Burning buildings, smoke inhalation, collapsed structures. I could survive my own son-in-law for a little while longer. Friday morning, I walked to the corner grocery store. Not because I needed groceries. The milk was just cover. But because I needed to buy there at exactly 9:15 when Daniel would happen to drive by. Wesley watched me leave. I felt his eyes from the kitchen window. But I'd been taking walks all week, my new hobby since the phone incident. He was suspicious, but he let me go. Probably figured I had nowhere to go, no way to cause trouble. He was wrong. Daniel's Honda pulled into the parking lot at 9:17. He climbed out, looked up, feigned surprise. "Dad, what are you doing here?" I held up the quart of milk I'd bought with quarters. "Daniel, I didn't know you were coming to town." Last-minute decision. Wanted to check on you. His eyes found mine. Dropped to the milk. Understood everything. "Let me buy you breakfast. Real breakfast. We need to talk." 20 minutes later, we were at the medical clinic. Dr. Sarah Chen was expecting us. Sandra had briefed her beforehand. Professional courtesy between people who deal with abuse cases regularly. Dr. Chen was thorough. She photographed every bruise from multiple angles. Medical-grade camera capturing details invisible to phone cameras. Measured my weight, 152. Down from my normal, 175. She tested reflexes, cognitive function, checked for signs of malnutrition. "Mr. Russell," she said, typing notes, "these bruises are in different stages of healing. This one is about 4 days old. This one is closer to 2 weeks. Can you tell me how you got them?" I told her. Wesley's shove Wednesday. Other incidents I'd stopped tracking because they blurred together. And your weight loss? Limited food. He controls when I eat, how much. She stopped typing. Looked at me directly, professional mask slipping. "Mr. Russell, I'm required by law to report suspected elder abuse. But I want you to know, I'm not just reporting this because I have to. I'm reporting it because what I'm seeing here is clear evidence of systematic abuse. No one should live like this." Her written report was 15 pages. Detailed measurements, clinical observations, photographs attached. She used terms like deliberate deprivation and pattern consistent with long-term physical abuse, medical language that would carry weight in court. The weekend crawled. Sandra was finalizing documents, triple-checking evidence, preparing filings. Daniel stayed at a hotel but visited Saturday and Sunday, bringing food, making sure I ate properly for the first time in months. Monday morning, Sandra called from the Johnsons' phone. "Mr. Russell, the documents are filed, all 3 actions. Wesley will be served Wednesday." What happens then? He has to respond. But more importantly, I've requested emergency temporary orders. We should hear back within 48 hours. Temporary orders. Freezing his access to your accounts. Allowing you back in your house. We can't wait for the full trial. You need protection now. Wednesday afternoon, I was in the garage when I heard shouting from the house. Wesley's voice, loud and rising, then Gertrude's, high-pitched with panic. The process server had arrived. Through the window, I watched the scene play out. Wesley tearing open the envelope, reading, his face cycling through confusion to comprehension to rage. "Gertrude!" he bellowed. She came running from the kitchen. He waved papers at her. "Your father's suing me. He got a lawyer. He's trying to take everything back." Her voice carried clearly. "Adult Protective Services? Financial exploitation? Wesley, this says criminal investigation." I sat on my mattress and allowed myself a small smile. The counterattack had begun. That evening, from the Johnsons' phone, I listened as Daniel described Wesley's frantic lawyer search, attorney after attorney declining once they reviewed the evidence. The recording was the killer. Wesley boasting about controlling the pension, forcing me into the garage. What he'd thought was demonstration of power had become confession to multiple crimes. Finally, Wesley found someone, Attorney James Kovach, Recent graduate, solo practitioner, desperate for clients. Can we win? Wesley had apparently asked. Long pause on the recording Daniel played for me, then Kovach's voice. We can try. Even his own lawyer knew they were doomed. Thursday morning I woke to my phone, the Johnsons' landline, which I'd been keeping in the garage overnight with their permission. Sandra's voice was crisp, professional, excited. Emergency orders granted. As of now, Wesley's financial access is frozen. And Mr. Russell, you have the right to move back into your house. Today. I sat on the thin mattress one last time, looked around the garage that had been my prison for 3 weeks, the concrete floor, the single bulb, the window through which I'd watched my life being stolen. Then I stood, gathered my few possessions into a plastic bag, and walked to the front door. Wesley was in the living room, watching. I'm moving back inside, I said. Guest bedroom. He stood. You can't just... I held up the printed court order Daniel had emailed to the Johnsons. Court order says I can. Section 2, paragraph 3. Read it if you want. His voice went dangerous. You're making a mistake, old man. I met his eyes. No fear anymore, just cold certainty. The only mistake I made was trusting you. That won't happen again. I walked past him to the guest bedroom, closed the door, turned the lock. The click of that lock was the sweetest sound I'd heard in months. Thursday morning, 10:15, Teresa Williams pulled into the driveway in a county vehicle marked Adult Protective Services. I watched from my new window, the guest bedroom window, not the garage, as Wesley straightened his shirt, arranged his face into a welcoming expression, and opened the front door before she could knock. Good morning. You must be Ms. Williams. Welcome, welcome. We're so glad you're here to clear up this misunderstanding. I'd seen enough performances in my firefighting career. People lying to investigators after arson, claiming electrical fires when they'd torched their own businesses for insurance. Wesley sounded exactly like that. Too helpful. Too smooth. Teresa Williams, carrying a tablet and professional camera, didn't smile back. I'm Teresa Williams from Adult Protective Services. We received a complaint regarding the living situation here. I need to interview everyone in the household and inspect the premises. Gertrude appeared, nervous energy radiating. Can I get you coffee? Water? We want to help however we can. Teresa ignored the hospitality offer. Let's begin with the garage. I understand Mr. Russell has been staying there? Wesley's performance stumbled. He wanted privacy, independence. We offered him a bedroom, but he preferred... Show me. They walked to the garage. I stayed in my room, listening through the wall. Heard Teresa's camera clicking. Heard her voice, cool and professional. There's no heat source, no bathroom, one mattress on concrete. You expect me to believe a 68-year-old man chose this over a bedroom in the house? He's stubborn. You know how elderly people can be. I know how elder abuse presents, Mr. Matthews, and this looks exactly like it. The kitchen table interview came next. Wesley and Gertrude were sent to the living room. Teresa knocked on my door. Mr. Russell, I need to speak with you privately. We sat across from each other. She set her tablet between us, started recording. Mr. Russell, I need you to be completely honest with me. Are you afraid of Wesley? Yes. Has he physically harmed you? Yes, multiple times. The most recent was last week. I touched the fading bruise under my eye. There have been others. Did you choose to live in the garage? No. He forced me out there 3 weeks ago. Said it was the new rule. I own this house. Paid it off 15 years ago. But he has power of attorney. He controls my pension. He controls everything. I paused. Controlled. Past tense now. She wrote rapidly. The power of attorney. Did you sign it willingly? He pressured me. Threatened to put me in a nursing home if I didn't cooperate. I was afraid. 20 minutes of questions. I answered each one with facts, dates, specific incidents. No embellishment necessary. The truth was damning enough. After my interview, Teresa spoke with Wesley and Gertrude separately. Their stories were too coordinated, too rehearsed. I heard fragments through the walls, phrases that sounded scripted, explanations that contradicted my timeline. Then Teresa left, walked next door to the Johnsons. She was there for 45 minutes. When she came back, her professional mask had cracks in it, controlled anger simmering beneath. She took more photographs of the garage, measurements, notes. Then she left without saying goodbye to Wesley. Friday morning, the temporary orders arrived. Daniel called me on the Johnsons' phone, excited. "Dad, check your email. Sandra sent you the court order." I was at the Johnsons' computer, read the document slowly. Wesley Matthews is hereby enjoined from accessing any financial accounts belonging to Ambrose Russell. Does that mean? It means he can't touch your money, not a dollar. And look at Section 2. Ambrose Russell is granted immediate right to reside in his primary residence. I was already inside, but the order made it official, legal, uncontestable. What about Wesley? He can't stop you. If he tries, he's in contempt of court. That evening, Gertrude knocked on my door. Her face was blotchy from crying. "Dad, can we talk?" "What do you want, Gertrude? How could you do this? We're your family. We took you in when—" I opened the door wider, looked at my daughter, this woman who'd watched her husband abuse me for months, and said nothing. "You took me in? This is my house, Gertrude. I own it. And you didn't take me in. You stole from me, starved me, and forced me to sleep in a garage. It wasn't like that. Wesley was just trying to help manage things. Family doesn't do what you did. Family doesn't stand by while their father is abused. You made your choice, Gertrude. You chose him over me. Now live with that choice. I'm still your daughter." I closed the door. "Then you should have acted like it." The weekend passed in cold silence. Wesley barely left his room. Gertrude cried through the walls. I stayed in the guest room, door locked, eating food Daniel brought, regaining strength. Sandra called Sunday afternoon. The final hearing is Friday. 1 week. Judge Morrison will hear both sides and make permanent rulings on the power of attorney, financial restitution, and housing. The APS report will be part of the record. What about criminal charges? Teresa's recommending prosecution. The district attorney will decide after the civil hearing. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Each day crept toward Friday. Daniel arrived Thursday night, stayed at a hotel, but came to the house early Friday morning. I walked out to his car. Wesley was watching from the living room window. I saw the curtain move. I didn't look back. "Ready, Dad?" Daniel asked. I buckled my seatbelt. The courthouse was 20 minutes away. 20 minutes until everything would be decided. "I've been ready for months," I said. "Let's finish this." Tuesday morning, Daniel parked in the courthouse visitor lot. Through the windshield, I could see the Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas building, all granite and glass, imposing in that way government buildings are designed to be. "You ready, Dad?" Daniel asked. Was I ready? Ready to face Wesley in front of a judge? Ready to have strangers examine my humiliation, my bruises, my garage mattress on a courtroom screen? "Let's go," I said. Because ready or not, this was happening, and I'd rather face it standing than hide from it beaten. Sandra was waiting outside courtroom 5, navy suit, leather briefcase, the picture of professional confidence. She shook my hand. "Good morning. How are you feeling, Mr. Russell?" "Nervous. Ready." "That's good. Nerves keep you sharp." She glanced at her watch. "The judge has allocated 2 hours for this hearing. I'll present our evidence first. Medical, photographic, financial, and audio. Kovach will try to rebut. Then she'll rule. Could be today, could be next week. But given the temporary orders, I expect a decision today." Inside, the courtroom was exactly what I expected. High ceilings, wood paneling, the judge's bench elevated like an altar of justice. Wesley sat at the defense table with Attorney Kovach, wearing an ill-fitting suit, Gertrude beside him, face pale. Wesley's eyes found mine, held them for a moment, then looked away. Judge Patricia Hendricks entered at precisely 10 o'clock. Late 60s, steel-gray hair, the kind of face that had seen everything twice and wasn't impressed either time. "Be seated. Ms. Mitchell, you may proceed with your opening statement." Sandra stood. "Thank you, Your Honor. This case is straightforward. The defendant, Wesley Matthews, systematically exploited his father-in-law through financial manipulation, physical abuse, and unlawful deprivation of housing. We have medical evidence, photographic evidence, financial records, witness testimony, and most damningly, an audio recording of Mr. Matthews confessing to these actions." She clicked her remote. The courtroom screen illuminated with Dr. Chen's medical report, photographs of my bruises, purple, yellow, green, in various stages of healing. The judge leaned forward, reading. Then came the garage photos. The thin mattress, the concrete floor, the single bare bulb, the utility sink, each image more damning than the last. Judge Hendricks's expression hardened. Financial records next. Bank statements highlighted in yellow. $7,500, redirected monthly. Expenditure records. $42,000 for the SUV, $3,000 for the television, hundreds for a premium alcohol. Then Sandra played the recording. Wesley's voice filled the courtroom, arrogant and clear. That pension belongs to me now. I control everything. Your father signed the papers. The money's mine, the house is mine. Well, it will be. And this is where he lives now. House rules. Silence when it ended. Heavy, damning silence. Please note that recording as Exhibit D, Judge Hendricks said. Ms. Mitchell, is that the defendant's voice? Yes, Your Honor. Recorded by Daniel Russell during a confrontation at the property. Pennsylvania is a one-party consent state. The recording is legally obtained. The judge looked at Wesley. Mr. Matthews, is that your voice? Yes. And did you make those statements? It was taken out of context. What context makes that pension belongs to me now acceptable when discussing someone else's retirement income? Wesley said nothing. Attorney Kovach tried his defense. Power of attorney was signed voluntarily. Family dispute, not abuse. Ambrose was free to leave any time. The judge's questions destroyed each argument. Mr. Matthews, you're under oath. Did you or did you not use Mr. Russell's pension funds to purchase a vehicle for your personal use? We needed transportation. A $40,000 SUV? Mr. Russell already owned a functional vehicle, correct? Yes, but did you ask his permission before spending his money? Pause. Then quietly, no. Did Mr. Russell live in the garage by his own choice? It was complicated. Space issues in a 3-bedroom house occupied by 3 people. Try again. Silence. Let me be more direct. Did you tell Mr. Russell he had to live in the garage? Very quietly. Yes. The judge sat back, studied Wesley for a long moment. I've heard sufficient evidence to make my ruling. Mr. Matthews, Ms. Matthews, please stand. They stood. Gertrude was shaking. I find that the power of attorney was obtained through coercion and threats. Even if it had been signed voluntarily, the subsequent use constitutes financial exploitation under Pennsylvania statute. The power of attorney is hereby voided in its entirety, effective immediately. She paused. Let it sink in. Furthermore, I find that Mr. Matthews misappropriated approximately $28,000 of Mr. Russell's pension funds. Restitution in that amount is ordered, payable within 90 days. Gertrude whispered something I couldn't hear. Third, regarding the housing situation, Mr. Russell is the lawful owner of the property. Mr. and Ms. Matthews are hereby ordered to vacate the premises within 48 hours. Failure to comply will result in law enforcement assistance. Wesley's face went pale. 48 hours? That's Thursday at noon. Finally, I am issuing a protection from abuse order. Mr. and Ms. Matthews are prohibited from contacting Mr. Russell or coming within 500 feet of his person or property. Long pause. One more thing. The evidence presented here suggests criminal conduct, specifically financial exploitation of an older adult, which is a felony in Pennsylvania. I am referring this matter to the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office for review and potential prosecution. The gavel struck. Court is adjourned. In the hallway, Gertrude approached me, crying, Dad, please. We didn't mean... I stepped back. Don't. Just don't. We'll pay you back. We'll make this right. You had months to make it right. You chose not to. Daniel positioned himself between us. The judge issued a no-contact order. You need to leave. Wesley pulled Gertrude away, his voice venomous. This isn't over. Sandra stepped forward. Actually, Mr. Matthews, it is. And if you violate that protection order, you'll be arrested. I suggest you spend the next 48 hours packing, not making threats. We walked out into afternoon sunlight. The contrast was sharp, from the dim courtroom to bright August day, from testimony to vindication. Sandra shook my hand on the courthouse steps. You'll receive the written order within 24 hours. Enforcement begins immediately. If they're not out by Thursday noon, call the police. Daniel hugged me. It's over, Dad. You won. Not quite over. Wesley and Gertrude had 48 hours to pack and leave. Thursday at noon, I'd walk back into my home, truly mine again. But standing there on those courthouse steps, breathing free air, knowing the judge had seen the truth and ruled in my favor, that felt like winning. Tuesday evening, we sat in Daniel's hotel room. Sandra had gone home, but she'd left us with copies of the court order, highlighted sections marking our victories. "You should stay here until they're gone," Daniel said. "I've already paid for the room through Friday." I nodded. I wasn't afraid of Wesley anymore. The court had neutered him, but I didn't want to watch him pack. Didn't want to share space with him for even one more night. "Thursday noon," I said, reading the order again. "They have to be out by Thursday noon. 2 more days. I can wait 2 more days." Wednesday afternoon, I drove past the house, saw boxes through the windows, chaos of frantic packing. Gertrude spotted me from the living room, came outside, face streaked with tears. "Dad, please, can we talk?" I kept the car running but rolled down the window. "What is there to say, Gertrude?" "I'm sorry. I know I should have stopped him. I should have protected you." "You're right. You should have. You made your choice when you let him put me in that garage, when you stood by and watched him starve me." I was scared. Wesley, he controlled everything. I didn't know how to. I was scared too. I was 68 years old, being beaten and starved, and you're my daughter. You should have helped me. "I know. I'm so sorry." "I love you, Gertrude. You're still my daughter. But the trust is broken. Maybe someday we can repair it. But right now, I need you to leave my house and let me heal." She sobbed. "I understand. Goodbye, Gertrude." I drove away without looking back. Thursday at 11:45, Daniel and I stood in the driveway. At 11:52, a U-Haul pulled out, Wesley driving, Gertrude in the passenger seat, both staring straight ahead. The truck disappeared around the corner. Silence. Then I walked to the front door. My door. Inserted my key. Stepped inside. The house was empty of their presence. Keys on the kitchen counter. Rooms cleared. The silence was different now. Not oppressive, but peaceful. "Welcome home, Dad," Daniel said behind me. Friday became Restoration Day. The locksmith arrived at 9. Changed every lock. Front door, back door, garage, basement. I pocketed the new keys. "The old keys are useless now," the locksmith confirmed. "Good," I said. "I want him to have nothing that works here anymore." At the bank, the manager closed my old accounts, opened new ones with 2-factor authentication. Even if Mr. Matthews tried to present the old power of attorney, our system would flag it immediately. "It's really over then," I said, "from a banking perspective?" "Yes, sir. Your money is yours again." Security cameras came next. Front door, back door, motion sensors. The technician showed me the monitoring app on my phone. "You can see who's at your door before you answer," he explained. Layer by layer, I reclaimed control. Physical security, financial security, peace of mind. Saturday morning, the Johnsons arrived with a still warm apple pie. "Welcome home, Ambrose," Frank said. "Properly home." "Thank you. For the pie and for everything. For testifying. For letting me use your phone. For caring." "We should have done more sooner," Martha said. "You did enough. You did what mattered." We sat in my living room again, sharing coffee and pie, talking about normal things, weather, neighborhood gossip, the upcoming block party, normal conversation, a gift I hadn't realized I'd lost until I had it back. After they left, Daniel and I sat together in comfortable silence. I held my coffee in my favorite mug, the one I'd retrieved from the back of the cabinet where Gertrude had hidden it. On the mantel, an old family photo. My late wife, young Gertrude, teenage Daniel, all smiling, all together. A family that no longer existed in that form, but whose love still shaped who I'd become. "How are you feeling, Dad? Really?" "Tired, relieved, strange." "Strange how?" "I'm in my own house, drinking coffee from my own cup, sitting in my own chair. Things that were normal 6 months ago feel like luxuries now. They should never have been taken from you. No, they shouldn't have." I paused. "You know what I keep thinking about? 40 years I spent running into burning buildings, saving people, and I never thought that someday I'd need to save myself from my own family. But you did save yourself. You fought back. You won." "I did, with your help." I looked at him. "What you did, coming when you did, believing me, finding Sandra. I couldn't have done it alone. You shouldn't have had to do it at all. But I'm proud of you, Dad. Standing up to Wesley, gathering evidence, going through that hearing, that took courage. I smiled slightly. Even at 68, you can still be strong. You can still fight. You can still win. What's next for you? Living. Just living. In my house. With my pension. On my terms. That's enough? 1 month later, the mail brought news. First, a formal notification. Wesley Matthews charged with felony financial exploitation, facing 2 to 4 years in prison. Second, a handwritten letter. Gertrude's careful script. Dear Dad, I know this letter can't fix what I did. I know sorry isn't enough, but I need you to know. I cooperated with the prosecutors. I told them everything. They offered me probation if I testified against Wesley, and I took it. Wesley's facing prison now. I'm ashamed it took losing everything to see what he was. What I let him do to you, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I hope someday, maybe years from now, we might talk again. I love you, Dad. I always did. Gertrude. I read it twice, then folded it carefully and placed it in my desk drawer. Not thrown away, not answered yet, just saved. For later, for someday, for when I was ready. Maybe we'd talk again. Maybe we wouldn't. I'd decide on my own timeline. That evening I sat in my living room as the sun set, my house, my chair, my life. Outside, the Johnsons were working in their garden. A couple walked their dog past my driveway. Normal suburban evening. I'd spent 3 months in that garage. 3 months afraid, hungry, humiliated. But I'd survived. More than survived. I'd fought back and won. The pension was mine. The house was mine. The dignity was mine. And sitting there in the peaceful silence of my restored life, that was everything. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.